Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
The following portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Kishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, it's unfortunately a familiar episode in Haitian communities, but for 6 Haitian families who lost their homes to a massive fire overnight, that fact makes it no less difficult to accept their losses. Charred debris is all that remains of the homes on the Milo Butler Highway. Fire officials raced to the scene where the cluster of homes burned to the ground, leaving 15 people, including 3 children, homeless tonight. Our Jimenita Swain gets reaction from the victims and fire officials wary of the shantytown fires.
ZNS News arrived at the scene minutes after 7 last night and met firefighters working feverishly to extinguish the blaze at the unnamed Haitian village a stone throws away from the neighboring Coca-Cola plant. Officials say the fire was reported around 6:41. Sergeant Anthony Mitchell fills us in on what happened next.
We dispatched 2 units to the scene. On the arrival of the first engine, we discovered that multiple single-story wooden structure believed to be in the Haitian village was fully involved in flames. We additionally dispatched 2 more units to the scene where we were able to contain the fire. However, we received information that about 6 wooden structures were fully destroyed, and 3 wooden structures received extensive fire damages.
Fire Chief Superintendent Walter Evans says besides the language barrier, there are a number of challenges when battling fires in shanty towns.
There are situations where you have propane tanks which can be used and persons use them for cooking purposes. There are houses which do share electricity, and we discourage that practice at every cost. The challenge or the danger in a situation such as this is when one home goes, quite a bit of those homes will light up in flames because of the close proximity, because of the heat factor. And so for those persons who reside in areas such as this, we do discourage them to share electricity. We discourage them from engaging in unsafe practices, and we do encourage them to adhere to safety principles.
One resident who wished to remain anonymous says her mother and brother lost everything in the fire. She says she was only home a few minutes before there were shouts indicating that a fire had erupted.
I heard the neighbor come cause say, "Baby, fire, fire." And I say, "Wait, say that your mom home." Then I ran here. When I got here, everything was already done.
Fire officials made good use of the nearby Coca-Cola plant as they obtained water to battle the blaze.
We met with the fire department before that. At any time, if there's any problems with water around here, in emergencies like this, if we can help, we would love to help.
Fire officials are very concerned with the frequency of fires in these Haitian communities.
These fires are now happening too often, and then most of the time the people put themselves in danger trying to extinguish these fires, and that poses a serious threat, and also it causes us to work much harder.
Fire officials say it took about 3 hours to get the blaze that you see behind me under control. They utilized about 4 engines and 16 firemen to get the area secured. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas, Hugh Shan, says he's confident about the economic recovery of the Bahamas. He was addressing a press conference today when he said he believes the current administration has good plans for national development.
And the overall situation of the economy is picking up.
上次我见到这个穆迪公司，他们预计这个巴哈马的今年的经济可能增长在2%到2.5%之间。
So last time when I was meeting with the representative from the Moody's, according to their information, the projected growth rate of the Bahamas economy is something between 2.5 to 3%.
Now, aside from the multi-million-dollar Bahamar project, Ambassador Hugh Shan says they plan to deepen relations with the Bahamas, including projects in tourism, agriculture, and marine resources. The ambassador also addressed lingering concerns about a possible influx of Chinese workers. He noted that that all of the projects, Bahamians, on all of the projects, that is, Bahamians outnumber the Chinese. And Chinese only manage the projects and provide the technical skills. He assured that once projects such as the Bamar project and the Airport Gateway project are completed, Chinese workers will return to their country.
Indirect jobs, there will be 12,000.
The Bahamas and the People's Republic of China have enjoyed a strong relationship for 15 years. Both countries have worked closely on various projects which could further propel the local economy, like the Bamar project. Hospital officials have remedied a critical condition with ambulance services. Today, they commissioned 5 new state-of-the-art emergency ambulance vehicles. LaDon Davis was there as the response to the mounting emergency calls went into circulation.
With more than 17,000 plus calls in previous years, acquiring medical emergency services got a whole lot easier thanks to the commissioning of these 5 new state-of-the-art emergency vehicles. $123,000 were spent to purchase each of the 5 new diesel-engined automatic transmission Ford ambulances, which cost the government roughly $1.4 million, inclusive of an 85% customs duty. EMT Cedric Cash says with the high volume of emergency calls per day, these new vehicles came in good timing.
This is a very good improvement for emergency medical services on the fact that we have come from where we had just the Type 2 units, and this is the Type 1 state-of-the-art. These units would allow us to do just about anything we need to do for patient, space-wise, and treatment-wise.
How many calls do you get a day?
On average, anywhere between 25 to 30 calls a day.
Managing Director of the Public Hospitals Authority, Herbert Brown, agrees. He says while the decision to upgrade took some time, the wait was worth it.
They are customized with features that improve performance, reliability, patient and staff safety, as well as improve visibility and audibility. In short, these ambulances were purchased with focused attention to what works best in our Bahamian context.
There are at least 12 ambulances in its fleet here in New Providence, 6 in Freeport and 2 in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Minister of Health Dr. Perry Gomez says one of the government's mandates is to not only raise the bar on availability and vehicular support, but the quality of medical services for all Bahamians and visitors alike.
My ministry, in collaboration with the Public Hospitals Authority, has developed a comprehensive plan to increase the Bahamian people's access to first-class medical care and health and wellness education. We are fully cognizant that such goals are best achieved by equipping our teams, designing facilities, and providing the professional expertise that will address the unique needs of our archipelago and the healthcare demands of a growing communities throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Now, 4 of these new state-of-the-art vehicles will remain right here in the capital. The remaining one will be shipped off to Freeport later on this week. LaDon Davis, ZNS Network News.
42-year-old civil attorney Sonia Surratt has been given more time by the court to repay almost $100,000 she stole from a retired teacher 3 years ago. Surratt has been in prison since August of this year after Deputy Chief Magistrate Carolita Bethel convicted her of stealing by reason of service. However, when she appeared for sentencing last month, her attorney asked the court to release her on bail to allow her to make arrangements to repay the victim, and the court agreed. She was given a month to do so and has so far been unable to fulfill that commitment. During today's proceedings, Surratt's attorney told the court that Surratt is trying to sell beachfront property in Eleuthera and another in Andros to pay off the debt and has asked the court to give her more time to settle the matter. The court agreed, giving Surratt until December 31st to repay the victim. If she doesn't, she could be sentenced to up to 3 years in prison. Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis is calling on the government to abandon its proposed referendum on gambling and instead appoint an independent commission to conduct additional research. At this point, Dr. Minnis says the government needs to act responsibly and cease what it's calling a reckless rush to the referendum in an information vacuum.
We are requesting the government to stop this process of moving forward with the referendum. We also asking that they must establish a national consultative commission on gambling. It's a non-partisan group. It will involve the churches, it will involve unions, it will involve commerce, it will involve employees, other citizens of the Bahamas. Through this organization or through this committee, they would be able to interview Bahamians throughout, get their voices, get their concerns, get their issues, and you can look at facts as opposed to imperative, unreliable data.
Dr. Minnis also attacked the credibility of the international gaming advisors appointed by the government. Minnis says the accounting firm on its website provides information on accountancy, auditing, and tax service, nowhere claiming to have any expertise on gaming.
It is a disservice to the Bahamian people for the Prime Minister to receive non-expert advice. Advice on a matter of such grave national importance and intricacy as to whether, and if so, how best to legalize and regularize web shop gambling, or how to implement a national lottery. Such an undertaking calls for a responsible government to obtain the best possible advice from the best experts in the gaming industry, not from a firm of tax accountants whose halting presentation on television could not inspire any confidence that they had any degree of familiarity, much less expertise in the gaming industry.
Dr. Minnis says the government simply needs to enforce the law and doesn't need a referendum to do that, noting that current web shop activities infringe on quasi-banking practices. Meantime, he says more information is needed on this issue before a vote is taken. The government announced last week that the referendum would be postponed to January 28th. And now this apology from the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
On the first and second day of May 2012, ZNS TV broadcast a paid political advertisement from the Free National Movement implying that the Right Honorable Perry Christie and the Progressive Liberal Party are or were corrupt. On the second day of May 2012, the Right Honorable Perry Christie lodged a complaint with IRCA claiming that the allegations constituted a grave and malicious slander and libel of himself. As a consequence, IRCA found that the FNM's paid political advertisement broadcast by the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas on ZNS TV breached Clause 4.2.1 of the Code of Practice for Content Regulation, otherwise known as the Content Code, issued by IRCA on the 2nd of March 2012, which prohibits the broadcasting of information of any person that is incorrect, untrue, or misleading, and that the political advertisement also breached Clause 7.14 of the Content Code, which prohibits advertisements from being misleading or deceptive or likely to mislead or deceive. The Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas hereby deeply and sincerely apologizes to the Right Honorable Perry Christie for any harm that may have been caused to him in his capacity as the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, as a member of Parliament, or as an attorney at law, due to this incorrect, untrue, and misleading information that was broadcast on the first and second days of May 2012.
Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, the end of an era marked yesterday. We'll tell you more after this.